Hello and welcome to the ISRK Podcast. I'm your host, Kumar Vikrant. I'm a doctoral candidate at the Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering, Hanyang University, Seoul, Korea. ISRK, that is Indian Students and Researchers in Korea, is a voluntary support group that works towards the benefit of the Indian diaspora in Korea. So on today's episode, I have the pleasure to be in conversation with Professor Chinna Bathula. He's an assistant professor at the Dongkook University, Seoul, Korea. So, Professor Chinna, thank you very much for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm. So, to begin our conversation, can you contrast between the research atmosphere and temperament between India and South Korea? As we know, like you have been involved in multidisciplinary research involving organic chemistry, environmental chemistry, energy storage in both India and Korea. So can you touch upon the salient features? I can understand it may be too broad a question, to talk about everything, but
Yeah.
can you pinpoint specific differences between the research temperament of these two countries?
Yeah, definitely. When you see the system in India, like the money what we spend in research in
Mhm,
India and Korea are quite different.
mhm,
In Indian system, the basically the funding is done from the government, government sponsored projects. But
mhm.
when it comes to Korea, there is a Samsung, there is LG, and there are many big SK, and
Mm,
they are contributing
I
for
see.
the sponsoring the project.
Mm.
So the funding situation is very, very healthy here compared to back home in India.
Yeah,
But still,
I checked online, and South Korea actually ranks second in the world in R&D spending per GDP. So that's quite a lot.
yeah.
Mm,
That's how they get a lot of the talent from across the globe. They just
yeah.
get it. They try to sponsor them. They try to pay them as much as possible. Finance is one of the important thing when you want to survive globally.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the quality of the research, uh, I feel both India as well as Korea is good, but when it comes to some facility wise,
Mm-hmm.
the Korea is bit ahead because
Mm.
in Korean system, you go to any school or any institute, the facilities wise it will be good, but when it comes to India, sometimes we need to wait for a longer than in
Yeah.
Korea.
Mm.
That is one of the thing.
Yeah.
That too, if you come to Korea, they want the application oriented,
Mm.
whereas we have in back home in India, we have both application as well as the fundamental,
Yeah.
but we give more stress to the fundamental, like which is going to give you a product after 20 or 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you do something like some, it can bring all the interdisciplinary research from the material science, and you can
Mm-hmm.
bring it into all the disciplines in Korea, especially if you have some outstanding results in your experiments. If
Yeah.
you take organic electronics or hydrogen generation or environmental aspect, they directly try to implement in the industrial scale, and they will have some good data to which can be used to a broader scale of the population and broader scale globally. Yeah.
That's right. That has been my experience as well. And that is reflected in the Bloomberg's Innovation Index as well. Like South Korea frequently ranks number one in the world in the Bloomberg Innovation Index. And for the last decade or so. So actually the application-based research is very much active in Korea. And also in our lab, also we regularly collaborate with industries, as you pointed out. So yeah, that seems to be the driving force in Korea, like application-based research and industrial collaborations. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's very healthy for research.
that's really very healthy because
Mm.
basically my background, I come from the organic chemistry when I was
Mm-hmm.
in a graduate and the doctoral student.
Mm-hmm.
Then when I joined the industry and our industry, we had a collaboration with Indian Institute of Science. So
Mm-hmm.
I used to work there
Yeah.
in organic chemistry department of ISC for
Mm-hmm.
around more than a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there also I got some good ideas to explore the materials, not
Mm.
just into the organic like medicinal, but also we can
That's
use
right.
them as a
Mm.
biomarkers
Mm.
and then biosensors. Like
Mm.
that we can have each kind of application.
Mm-hmm.
And the globally what is happening is previously the materials which have been used for example, solar cells.
Mm-hmm.
If you take the solar cell research, there are materials called as acceptors and donors. These are organic materials.
Mm-hmm.
Those materials have been explored uh, to a greater extent across the world, especially if you take the Korea, India, and the United States and across the Europe.
Yeah.
And the same materials recently they are taking it back into the
Mm.
field of the batteries, and
Mm.
then the as a OER for the oxygen
Mm.
evolution reactions. The thing is, they
Electrodes,
are doing
and
some
I think
modification.
also in supercapacitors and other applications as well, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Like the concept in electrochemistry, if you take the supercapacitor,
Mm.
electrocatalyst, and everything, batteries, they work on the same principle, the oxidation redox mechanism. So, if you see the fundamental basic properties of the materials, then you can decide whether you should go for either of the application,
Mm-hmm.
and whichever the clicks, I think we can extend it by further modification of the structure. In
Sounds
that way, I
fascinating.
think
Yeah.
in that way we can explore the materials, especially for
Mm-hmm.
different fields of the material science.
Yeah, so I also wanted to ask you that at present you are stationed in the electronics engineering department, am I right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So you also have a background in organic chemistry. So how do you link these two? Like, can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, yeah, surely. You see if you see the project fundings from the especially from
Mm-hmm.
Samsung, LG, and other industry,
Yeah, yeah.
they are usually working on the organic electronics.
Mm,
If you take OLEDs or photodiodes,
mm,
or they work on some kind of displays and everything.
mm,
The here the organic materials are same.
mm-hmm.
What happens is how you get the PL spectra of that. When you take the
Ah,
spectroscopy, how
mm,
narrow or the how broad you get the spectra. Depending on the sharpness,
mm-hmm,
you can know the pixels. You can get the nice pixels and nice image. So that molecules go to the display,
mm-hmm,
or if you can do it as a transistor. These all are the branch of the organic electronics. That's how I have been working in the electronic and electrical engineering department.
mm-hmm,
The basically the most of the students and other faculty from our department are into the electrical part, but
mm,
I'm into electronic as well as electrical engineering.
mm.
So that's how I work on it.
Yeah, that's great. So I also wanted to ask you, like, what made you enter the research area as your career? Like, what prompted you to get a PhD? Because, many juniors back home in India, they also like message me and talk to me about some of them want to pursue research and get into that. So I wanted to know, like, since you are a veteran, basically, like you have been conducting professional research for a long time now. So what made you get into the research and get your PhD?
Actually, coming into the background, my background when
Mm-hmm.
I was like a master student,
Yeah.
I was actually inspired by some of my teachers, especially
Mm-hmm.
who wanted me to continue the research. They actually they encouraged me to take some good projects even when I was a master student,
Mm-hmm.
and luckily and also very fortunately, the results were better than the before when I was a master student.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to the experimental results,
Yeah.
especially in organic chemistry, the thing is the how we implement the synthetic skills.
Mm-hmm.
That has to be we have to learn from, especially from the professor as well as senior friends.
Yeah, that's right.
The
Yeah.
senior friends they play a major role
Mm-hmm.
to bring me into the research. Like when you come directly from the as a master student, you won't be having much ideas about the research or the skills.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the seniors they guided me, and they also they
Mm.
sometimes they pushed me hard because they want
Yeah.
yeah, they want to get something best out of me. Always I
Ah.
have taken into in the positive direction,
Mm-hmm.
and they really trained me very in a better way.
Yeah.
There was no relaxation. Like I had to produce the results.
Yes, yes.
And yeah, that's how this was healthy environment, and that's
Ah.
how I learned the research.
Mm-hmm.
And also my teacher, they wanted me to continue research. Then I
Mm.
came, and as you know, in research, when you get some good results, you are
Mm-hmm.
get encouraged.
Yeah,
When you
yeah.
have
Yeah,
poor results, you get discouraged.
that's right.
So initially, that was the trend.
And
Yeah,
that's particularly in experimental research. Many times you can go months getting negative results, and you keep on trying and trying. And when you get the positive result, it's an excellent feeling. So I can perfectly understand.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
Anyway,
how I
so
came.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I also
Yes.
wanted to ask you about how important is mentorship? Like, can a good mentor truly bring out the best in us? Like you were just talking about your seniors and your teachers. And also, I wanted to ask, like, many people are often confused between choosing a good supervisor versus choosing the higher ranked university. So how important is it that during a PhD, so I have often also seen statements like a good supervisor is the most essential part of a PhD. So how accurate is this statement? And can you talk about this briefly?
Actually, when it comes to the research output and all,
Mm-hmm.
a good supervisor can make a good student. That is
Ah, I
true.
see.
But, but at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
a good student can
Mm-hmm.
bring a good results to the professor. It
Mm.
should be mutual.
So it's
If you,
mutual.
it's mutual actually. I
Yeah.
trust that it's a mutual because I work with many collaborators.
Mm-hmm.
When they come with a good results, I can give some direction.
Yeah.
So if I give some direction and they are producing a good result, I think at the end of the day, I want to give credit to them.
Mm.
Then because they are coming with the results.
Yeah. That's right.
And when it comes to the good school and the good professor, usually in Indian system is different. If you come
Mm-hmm.
to globally, especially as well as Korea,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter actually. School sometimes school ranking
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes the professor were coming directly from the United States.
Mm-hmm.
They want to get absorbed in Korea in any school. They doesn't usually bother about the ranking.
Yeah.
And then at that time, they want to grow actually. They want to grow
Yeah.
as fast as possible and they want to produce the results.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody is coming and joining with them, it will be really,
Mm-hmm.
it will be really good for the student to get the results. But the most important thing in Korea is the initial phase of the student life. You need to
Mm-hmm.
work very hard.
Yeah.
There is no exception for that. And then once your professor builds a trust and confidence in you, then you are everything. Like
Yeah.
he simply trust you, and there will be mutual. Then
Mm.
you come with the results, and there will be some direction. You get some paper, and then you will be motivated and you'll be encouraged by yourself, your results.
Mm. Well, thank you very much for sharing such intriguing insights. Truly an eye-opening explanations. And so, talking about research, I wanted to know how did you end up coming to South Korea, like after working and completing your PhD in India? What made you come to Korea? And how did you end up joining as an assistant professor after completing your postdoctorate research here? Can you talk about that briefly?
Yeah, sure. Actually, when I was working in after my graduation,
Mm-hmm.
I was working for a company in Bangalore, and
Mm-hmm.
as I told you, we had like a consultant from the IISc, and so I
Yeah.
used to work in the IISc most of the
Mm-hmm.
time. And then that's how like I was very much fascinated to join for postdoctoral research during that time itself.
Mm-hmm.
But I had my boss, his name is Dr. Professor Dr. Ratan Sood. He's from previously he worked in Glaxo in London, UK.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was another senior manager,
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Ambar Kumar Chaudhary is from West Bengal.
Okay.
And he was always like me, he was always encouraging me that I should take up some challenging career and I
Yeah.
should go for uh, postdoctoral research to get my enhance my skills.
Mm.
Because the synthesis, if you make some molecules,
Yeah.
what I feel is I don't remember exactly. I think Woodward,
Mm.
R.B. Woodward, who got a Nobel Prize in 1985 for frontier molecular theory. It's about
Mhm.
chemistry. He said, is in material science.
Yeah.
When you make the molecules, it's not just about the molecules. You should produce some properties.
Yeah.
If you
That's
make
right.
something
Yeah.
and it does not make any, it will not give you any reward.
Mhm.
You make some molecules, some application should be there. Otherwise, the work will be aimless. We should never end up with the aimless. And so that,
Yeah.
yeah, that's how my senior encouraged me to apply here.
Mhm.
And when I was trying for the postdoctoral, one of
Yeah.
my friend was here in back in
Ah, I
Daejeon.
see.
Yeah.
Mm.
He introduced to me the professor in the energy materials department, and
Mhm.
then we had the interview.
Mhm.
And the professor actually, there was interview was good,
Yeah.
especially, and then he liked it, and that's how I came here. And then after coming to Cricket is really one of the top institutes in Korea,
Mhm.
and the funding is very high.
Yeah.
Funding is very high, and facilities are very fabulous, and you can work all the time.
That's right. Yeah.
So then, yeah, and then working there for quite long time. Then I came to, I worked in industry in Swan for quite some time, and then I came to Hanyang, then I worked in Eva.
Mm.
So finally, I applied in Dongguk University.
Yeah.
Here was actually one of the professor. There was a leading professor working
Mhm.
on transistor in Dongguk,
Mm.
and he wanted somebody with organic chemistry background.
Ah. Mm.
So yeah, I ended up coming here, and then he encouraged me to set up a few laboratory facilities here.
Mhm.
And then I got some good students also, and I have
Yeah.
good collaborators, especially. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one of the reason like I can work for a long time.
Yeah, collaborations are very important in research,
Yeah,
particularly nowadays, since in all disciplines, research has gotten pretty multidisciplinary. So you have to have aspects of different fields in your research. So that's pretty important. And also,
yeah,
you touched upon something very important, like the application-based research is because, in my opinion, and also like the ultimate goal of any research is the actual application in the field. So we should
yeah,
always think about that in that direction. Yeah, so
yeah, yeah.
that's very important. So Professor, I also wanted to ask you, like you have been living in Korea for more than 10 years, I suppose, right? So
Yeah,
so
yeah.
so you have seen many things, and both positives and negatives. So can you talk about the positives and the negative aspects of living in Korea and working in Korea? And also, how severe is the language barrier? Because many people who are coming to Korea, they are often concerned about the language differences and also the cultural differences. So can you talk about how your experience has been in Korea?
Yeah, sure, sure. Actually, the most important positive things from when I came to Korea was,
Hmm.
the accessibility to the research facilities,
Yeah. Hmm.
research wise,
Hmm.
and as a personal wise, it matters actually very well living. If you are in Seoul or if you are in other parts of Korea like Daejeon,
Hmm.
Ulsan, Busan, something
I
like that.
see. Hmm.
Seoul is like another any other metro cities of India. Like you go to Mumbai, Bangalore,
Hmm.
Delhi,
Hmm.
life is very busy, so people are not much concerned about the others.
Yeah.
So if they have some business with you, they have some work with you, they interact.
Hmm.
But if you go to other parts of Korea, especially to the, I lived in Daejeon for 4 years.
Hmm.
Like people, they have time and they care. Even the foreigners also, even though there is a language
Ah.
barrier,
Hmm.
they try to just help you. But in Seoul, everyone is very busy,
Hmm.
and yeah, they
Mm.
say yeah they can't assist you in many cases.
Yeah.
So like I've been a part of Hanang community for more than 6 7 years.
Hmm.
Like yeah, as you're also one of the member.
Yeah.
Even before you come, also yeah, this was a group was very big. There were many students,
Hmm.
so they had a problem. So they used to sometimes they used to contact me for to interact with some owners or whatever. I let just like I was just trying to help them in a to some extent.
Yeah.
So communicate. This is one of the positive things, and the negative thing is the when the students come from India.
Hmm.
Actually, here there is a system is totally different.
Yeah.
The commitment and
Yeah.
the here
That's
they
right.
consider it appointment. If you call somebody at for dinner or something, they say it's appointment. It's promised. So you should be before the appointment rather than after the appointment.
That's
So
right.
initially, our students have some difficulty because when they come here, language barrier it's a big thing,
Hmm. Hmm.
and it's also depend on the group you are entering. If the
Yeah.
professor and the group member they can communicate with to you with in
Hmm.
English, that's well and good.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it is a big task. But I would like to suggest the students who are coming here
Hmm.
to initially spend some time in learning, not not regularly. If somebody can go to the classes on weekend, that will be well and good. Or
Yeah.
there are many online lessons also, or basic fundamental things like just how to say hello
Yeah.
or to
Yeah,
interact.
at least someone should put in that much effort into learning about the culture. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's difficult because most of the things coming in Korean language are pneumatical. You should take from your inside your this part, and it's very difficult.
Yeah.
There is a if you call instead of tha and the they say tha,
Hmm.
and if you say something else, they won't understand. That's another story. But if they can learn few fundamental things, it will be better. But especially yeah, if the students who are coming here, I would like to suggest that when they
Hmm.
come here, first 6 months is very crucial for anyone.
That's
Either
right.
you are a
Yeah.
postdoc, you're a student, or you're into any profession here. First 6 months, you're like under surveillance, I can say. So
Yes.
need to work hard and
Ah.
also have good friends around you, because
Mhm.
sometimes things go down, you need good friends also.
Yeah, cooperation is very important, and also that's what I recommend the new students who are coming to Korea as well. Like, spend some time learning about the culture and also the language, because often it
Yeah,
is too big a culture shock for
yeah,
Indians coming to Korea, and also the language issue. And also, lots of language schools are nowadays open pretty much. If you are in
yeah,
Seoul, then it's available everywhere. So, if someone can take out the time to do that, I think that's much better for them, for a
yeah.
more wholesome experience in Korea. Yeah.
Sure, sure. Also, if you see in your smartphone, you can just download the app also for,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
simple living.
Mhm.
You don't need to. If sometimes if you have really have time, you can go join the classes. That will be
That's
really
right.
good.
Yeah, that will be really good.
In
Yeah.
some labs, it will be very very difficult to manage that
Yes,
thing.
that's right.
At that time, at least you can yeah, and learn few basic things.
Also, nowadays, very good textbooks are also available, and they are pretty much very helpful. So, yeah.
Yeah, in addition to the text, there's also the CD in there.
Mm. Oh,
You can
yeah,
also just
yeah, yeah. Yes, and also, like, as you pointed out, Korean is a bit more phonetic language, so you have to take
yeah,
care of your pronunciation and your pitch.
yeah,
So by watching all those videos and lessons, people can learn very quickly. Anyway, so now we are like reaching towards the end of our conversation. So I wanted to ask you about, will you be willing to share some tips to our viewers regarding attaining scholarships and research grants and funding? Can you talk about that briefly?
yeah, surely, surely. Actually, for especially for students who are applying to Korea,
Mm-hmm.
there are many fellowships here. First one comes there is also fellowship for the students who are already registered for PhD in India and who want to visit Korea.
Mm.
There is a fellowship called as Indo-Korean Fellowship.
Oh.
Yeah, it will be. I think it will be. I'm not sure. Maybe in August
Mm-hmm.
there will be call form, or there will be advertisement for that, and they
Yeah.
can apply. And the students who want to come, every university they have their own scholarship. Additionally, there is the Korean government scholarship
Yeah.
that also they can apply. This is for the students who are coming to the masters or PhD,
Grad
and
school.
also yeah. Addition to the all the university and school, there is a UST. I think you might have heard about the UST.
Yeah,
UST
yeah.
is University of Science and Technology.
Mm-hmm.
Almost there are many institutes in Korea together. They are under one group. It's called as UST,
Yeah.
and you can go to any of the UST center like CREET or
Mm.
CASE. There are like the CRACE. There are many institutes. You can just approach the professor. Before approaching the professor, I think it's better to have IELTS or
Mm-hmm.
any TOEFL or
Yeah,
any
yeah.
exam. English exam. This has become a must for
Yeah.
students these days.
Nowadays, in
So
almost all international schools are asking for your TOEFLs and IELTS score. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. If you want to come to some schools like Dongguk University actually have a scholarship. It's called as SRD,
Mm.
scholarship for for research and development.
Mm-hmm.
It is around maybe I'm not sure 800 to 1,000
USD.
USD. So this is about the Dongguk University. There are many other schools where the professors also support the student.
Yeah, yeah.
But the thing, they have to prepare themselves that
Mm.
they are going to give their best for the first 6 months.
Yes,
And also
that's
before
right.
coming, it's better always it's better to interact with the seniors of the lab or
Mm.
any other friends and find out the atmosphere so that they can get along in a short
Mm-hmm.
time.
Yeah.
So this is they can. There is also KRF. This recently it has become Brainful Fellowship.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So this is for postdoc fellow. The guys
Mm-hmm.
who want to come up for as a postdoc,
Mm-hmm.
and if they have some good publication for the first 2 years, I think they can apply for it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, if they get it, then it's very good. And
Yeah.
also there is research professor or assistant professor. It depends on the school.
Mm-hmm.
When you apply some post professor, they'll just go through your profile,
Mm-hmm.
and if there is a minimum criteria number of points. If you qualify that, I
Yeah.
think they can support you, and there will be interview. If you
Mm.
qualify the interview, then you'll be selected.
Mm.
That's how you get absorbed here.
Yeah.
And yeah, the funding situation is like there are many fundings from the NRF and all.
Mm-hmm.
Even as a postdoc also you can apply for a minimum
Um,
funding, like that is 50 million per year. That is especially for the people who are already in Korea
yeah.
rather than people who are coming from the India.
Mm.
So that's how you can obtain the funding.
Yeah. Yeah. So my recommendation also to people is to like look into the government sponsored scholarships as well as the university specific, and converse with people already there and also the people in the lab to get a feel of it. And of course, if someone is going to invest in you and your research, then you should also be ready to provide good output. So yeah, that's pretty important.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so before closing our session, I wanted to ask you about academia versus industry. Like you also have been a scientist in SAMI labs, right?
Yeah.
In the industrial sector. So
Yeah.
so what is your take on academia versus industrial research, and where do people end up in your research area after completing their PhD, and what are the differences?
Oh, when you're done with your PhD, you
Mhm.
have two options: either you go into academics or industry.
Yeah.
The thing in industry is every day it's challenging. Every moment is challenging
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
there will be a huge money. Because I'll tell you just one example. I was
Yeah.
when I was working for industry,
Mm-hmm.
I improved a process for to preparing that's some natural product, and then I need to. That was my first experience from going from lab to the pilot plant
Mm-hmm.
and then
Yeah.
go to the larger scale, 1,000 kilograms or 2,000. There is a lot of money involved in that.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's around 100,000 or 200,000 money involved in one reaction.
Mm,
So there's a big responsibility money wise when it goes to industry and everything. So everything matters in industry.
yeah.
And when it comes to academics is all about passion. You have to motivate yourself. Here, initially you will be encouraged or you will be pressurized by your host or whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day it's yourself. You have to motivate yourself, you have to push some bars,
Yep.
and then you have to push yourself, and then yeah, you can achieve whatever you want, and finally that can go to industry.
Mm,
So if academician from the academy you can go to industry, but once you go to industry
yeah.
it's difficult to compare because you need to
Oh.
prepare. Yeah,
Mm. Yeah.
this
So
thing
the
has been so
atmosphere is very different in industry, right?
yeah, it's
So,
totally different.
mm. And also, like you said, you have lots of responsibilities on your shoulder because it's of course a largely profit-driven sector, and also you have lots of finances going into your work. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah.
if anyone is up to the practical challenge, I think it will be a very good atmosphere to develop as well. So,
Surely,
yeah.
surely. Because
Mm.
I had a good experience from the industry also. It's really
Mm.
challenging.
Yeah, yeah.
And when you get good results, definitely you'll be
Yeah.
encouraged and
Yeah, I think that's the best feeling. So, yeah.
yeah.
So, Professor, it has been a big pleasure for me to talk with you, and I learned a lot, and hopefully our viewers will also learn a lot hearing from you. So, do you have any final words for our session before we close up?
Actually, instead of final, I just want to thank you once again, the ISRK, for
Yeah.
for bringing all the students and researchers to this platform.
Hmm.
Even actually, I'm one of the member, but
Yeah.
compared to myself, there's a Iqbalji, there is Shailesh, there is a
Hmm.
Vibhuji,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then yourself, Vipin. You guys are, and then I see many people working, tirelessly. I
Hmm.
say a big platform. This is a. I wasn't part of the many organization before. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just member. Like this is first time I'm part of the organization. I'm really feel myself glad,
Hmm.
and also I'm happy to see the way ISRK is progressing.
Hmm.
And I want to just, wish all the success for all the events that is ISRK is conducting.
Yeah.
And I really want to thank all the members of ISRK.
Well, thank you very much for the kind appreciation. Like the ISRK, we like want to support all the Indian community in Korea, and also bring them together from cultural as well as the technological side, and help so that we can all develop hopefully. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's the ultimate goal. So anyway,
Mm.
so thank you very much for your time, and hopefully we'll stay in touch, and maybe we can have you on some later episodes as well.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much for
Thank
your
you.
time, Professor. Yeah. Thank you. Take care. Thank you very much for listening to the podcast. Uh, Tune in to the ISRK YouTube channel for more videos. I'll see you soon. Thank you.